Hi everyone. Thanks for joining. Just giving it a couple of seconds to wait for everyone to kind of come in. So we have participants still joining us. So my name is Andrew from DS Systems, and I'll be conducting the webinar today. So just a little bit of, I guess, housekeeping while we wait for the final people to kind of join in at the moment. So if you guys have any questions at any point, please don't hesitate to put it into the question box or the chat box. We have a monitor, so that will be questions will be all taken into consideration, and we'll come back at the end of the webinar if we have time to kind of go through those questions. And if we don't get to those questions right at the end, so please don't panic. We will get back to everyone with email afterwards and try to cover those questions. We have a little bit of a packed webinar today in terms of content, so a lot of the questions will be if they're specific, we'll do our best to answer them. If not, we'll have to shoot back a bit of a summary email afterwards to everyone and cover those questions specifically. So we'll go ahead and kind of get started from here. So just a little bit about our clients as well, and let's get right into it. So the RMA, so Returns Merchant Authorization. So the RMA is a feature that was released by DIA that really gets involved in managing returns and building out certain processes to help these returns to be managed. So whether these, once a return comes in, whether you do a credit note for them, whether you refund them, or like to take an initiation action to inspect, to repair, or to replace the product, or to simply scrap it, whatever it may be, you can build that sort of workflows to help manage that process. Now, the new RMA and returns order feature allows you to configure your organization's return policies, which are used to streamline the return decision-making and automate the return workflow. So you can manage returns from customers. You can return request forms on the B2B portal, so you can actually embed return request forms on our B2B portal. There's a complete RMA web portal where the people will log in and be able to see their returns. So obviously you can fully build out your RMA policies. So what you do when there's a refund, or if an product has been out for more than 30 days, it goes into inspection, and then the decision is made. So you can build out all of these, and obviously you can resolve the RMA issues that comes up. So whether the product has to get sent back to warranty to the supplier, or whether there's going to be additional expenses or charges for components or service aspects that's going to go into repair to be able to restock that, so change of cost base for that product, all of that can then be taken into consideration and managed within DIA. So that's a pretty big feature from our perspective. I think it's going to add a lot of value to customers, especially wholesalers, e-com businesses, manufacturers, most importantly as well. So this feature is going to be great for that. And let's move on. So the WMS, the WMS warehouse management software has been around for some time now. If you're not familiar with it, we have a ton of content on our YouTube channel and our solution documents. And of course, you can anytime reach out to any of our sales team to speak about the WMS software, so the warehouse management software. But there's been some enhancements. So our WMS app, which can be downloaded on any kind of Android platform, on a PDA device, or any other mobile phone, now allows for multiple pickers per order now is supported. So previously there was only one, but now you can enable to have multiple pickers to be used to picking the same order. So if you have 2 picking zones, the same order gets picked from 2 different zones, and there's 2 different dedicated people, you can allow and enable that to happen through the backend. So you can now allow multiple pickers, and during the sales process, you can actually, when you go to assign a pickup, you can actually assign multiple pickers. So on the sales screen, that drop down is available now for multi-selection. Also, another enhancement has been warehouse details report has been modified to correctly reflect multiple pickers as well. Another enhancement that's come out is scheduled delivery for sales for DIA Web portal sales point of sale system end up through the WMS. What this really means, this is quite a big feature. What you can do is actually now schedule delivery. So if you're delivering the products yourself, you can actually schedule them on a calendar, on a delivery calendar. So for someone to go and pick up that order and to deliver it on that particular date. Through the WMS device, they can actually scan the order in to pick it up. They can see the items and the delivery information. They can mark it as in transit and then incomplete. And further to that, they can also attach a photo of proof of delivery. So if they've left it at the front door or left it at the warehouse delivery dock port, they can actually take a photo of that and then attach it, and that will get attached to the sales order. So that's a pretty big, awesome feature from our end. And we've also built out a certain integration to Google Maps. So when you look at the delivery address, you can click on it, take Google Maps to go out there. Now, there's been some smaller improvements that have been made to the WMS. So, from a receiving perspective, if you're receiving without a PO, except having to search for the supplier, the last used supplier can automatically default to the supplier, so you don't have to go and search in for the supplier. So the last supplier is used that was used to order in the product. Some notification messages and sounded when sound options have been added for the stock receiving, when stock receiving is completed. Scanner barcode input auto detection is added to preconditions. So, if you have an active WMS integration, when receiving without a PO, a user must previously select, but also can now automatically determine the product. So moving away from the WMS and into some of our more complex enhancements has been our advanced manufacturing module. As you know, the advanced manufacturing module has been out also for some time now, and we've done a ton of enhancements for it. So we'll be going ahead and going to further enhance these and make it a fully fledged system now. So a few key things have been that we can now hide financial information. So if you don't want users to be able to see certain cost bases of components or cost bases of the products, you can hide that financial information. Tags are now added to the production orders. So meaning that production orders list can now be searched by tags. You can also add, edit, or remove notes and attachments from production runs. So we can attach things like temperature, quality control notes, and so forth can be attached at that point. You can also reserve some or all of the stock components of a production run as soon as a production order has been released, which could be split into production runs. So reservation and or hard allocation guarantees that these exact same components are consumed for that production run and not used for any other production run. So you're not accidentally picking items and components that should be for one run, for another run, or for another production order completely. We've also added an output tab. This output tab is available as soon as a production run is created. This allows input of serial numbers and batch numbers. Also pick validation for product orders. So whether picking validation for serial numbers, picking validation for quantities picked, these can all be now have a validation process in place. So if there's incorrect serial number or incorrect pick quantity, then an alert will be given. Also, cost per unit has been added to finished products and output. So you won't just see the total cost for the entire production run, but you'll also see the cost per unit. It's a cool little hafting feature, so you don't have to go and recalculate that. Obviously, we've had the related orders. So on a sales order, if the production order is triggered off the back of that, you can then have the sales order, production order to be in the related tabs section. Now, also production BOM is now included in the product specification document. So all versions of the production BOM can be printed on this document. So when you're printing out the document, the product specification document, it can also show you all the different variations of the production BOM if that product has one. Production order traveler document has been extended with more information fields to be more useful by factory floor and production staff. So this includes like product names, product code, quantity to produce, and so forth. Production quantity, production cycle data, cycle time, units per cycle, and so forth. So there's quite a bit of enhancement around that as well, just more information to allow for cleaner and easier, transparent data. Also, another one has been for co-manufacturing operations. So usually, historically, procurement for co-manufacturers could be carried out in two ways. Either you're buying or selling the product, or transferring products to a co-manufacturer. So this procurement mode was applied to all co-manufacturing locations. So if you had a co-manufacturing location, all of them had to be ticked off. The procurement mode had to be assigned, but now you can choose which co-manufacturing location and which procurement mode you'd like to set. So you can set it per co-manufacturing location. Another one is product family BOM improvements. So a family product, being a family of t-shirts. So you have a t-shirt that comes in red, blue, and green, and comes in like 4 different sizes and 2 different cuts, for example. So those will be considered as a family BOM, but this allows product family variations to be used for components for so e.g. the fabric of it. So variation mapping for product families can now be imported via CSV file and also exported out via CSV file. So this allows for better variation mapping and easier. And also, of course, the average cost for product family BOMs is now displayed with a total minimum and a total maximum cost to reflect the differences in cost of variation for components. So if one is using more material, then that can be taken into consideration. We also have phantom BOMs. So a phantom BOM, the best way to describe a phantom BOM is that previously we've had a production BOM, which is pretty much a separate nested BOM. So a nested BOM is a production order within a production order. So for example, if you had a parent and a child production, so if you had a cake, to make a cake, you also need to make the frosting on the side to go. So now, in some cases, it will make more sense to a product, the nested product, in the production process of the parent to be listed within the run, so not a separate production order to be generated. So we've introduced this concept called a phantom BOM, representing products that is physically built but not stocked before being used in the next step or level of manufacturing. This can be used to add earlier production steps like the frosting quickly and easily into multiple parent BOMs while still keeping the child as part of the same production process. So it's not a separate production order. So phantom BOM function is like an assembly with an order assembly or disassembly enabled within it. So very cool feature there. Obviously a little bit complex, not for the faint-hearted, but I think it's going to add a lot of value, especially for those multi-stage bill of materials and production orders. So now we have the MRP, so Materials Requirement Planning tool that we have recently brought out. So some might be already familiar with this module, and we're going to go through some of the functions of it, but also some of the enhancements that we released. So this MRP feature really helps for you to manage your supply chain and allow users to incorporate supply chain strategies into their inventory management. So MRP considers demand from sales and supply from stock on hand, transfers, production, assembly, suppliers to generate supply management suggestions. What this really means is that you can use the MRP to compare actual and forecasted sale demands with available and potential available stock from your suppliers and determine when products should be produced in-house, bought from suppliers, or delivered from a distribution center. So what some of the things you can do is you can actually set supply intervals. So set how frequently stock is delivered from one organization location to another. So if you have a head central distribution center, you can then go ahead and schedule, say, hey, every 1 week or every 2 days, we want a certain amount to be delivered at a certain frequency intervals, and some number of fixed days or weeks. You can set supply rules. So you can set conditional rules on how to stock at a location should be replenished. So at one location, we like to, for example, transfer stock from another location. In some locations, we like to produce this in-house. In some other locations, we like to only buy this from our suppliers. So you can set those supplier rules. You can also plan ahead with this. So you can compare demand and supply for planning for 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month, or custom periods, really. So you can look at all your current sales that you already have in the system, sales that you will be putting in, and looking at what you need to order or manufacture for those. You can filter planning by location and customer. So you can check general stock requirements or focus planning on a single location or a single customer. So you can look at either for one location or you can look at for a specific customer. So if you have a really big customer, you can just focus on what you need to meet their requirements. You can also apply supply chain strategies. So it means you can plan material requirements by choosing which supply chain strategy to take into account. So you can actually set up all your different strategies on how to be able to meet your demand and set them out per your location or per customer. You can also ignore stock on hand and on order. So ignoring stock currently on hand or on order when planning your specific customer. So if you have a specific customers coming in and they're going to put in a huge order and you want to completely ignore and treat them separately as their own pretty much entity within that you have to service in terms of the demand for components and products, you can ignore any kind of on hand or on order products and say, hey, I just want to specifically order for this customer, and we're only going to take in consideration their requirements, and it's kind of exclusive from whatever we have. So you can also include all unfulfilled sales, of course, as well by particular dates. You can include draft and planned supply tasks as well during this. So you can choose whether only to take into account authorized or released transfer orders, production orders, purchase orders, or also include draft or planned events. We also take into consideration with the MRP bomb explosions. So bomb explosions to plan production component requirements or use unexploded planning to run MRP to create master production schedules. So meaning that if you have a bomb explosion that includes all these different components and all these different steps and all these different orders, you can take into consideration all of that to plan for your MRP. So you can also upload some sales figures, of course, to see what you've actually been planned for. You can view understock items, so you can actually calculate whether current demand and supply quantities leave a location understocked. So you can kind of give you a heads up if you're going to potentially be understocked in one particular location. You can also generate and authorize supply suggestions. So do you generate supply suggestions based on available stock and replenishment rules? Transfer orders, purchase orders, and production orders can be created from the MRP view. So you can actually look at all your orders and then also create the production orders from the MRP view. So very, very handy from that perspective. So further to that, obviously there's going to be a ton of questions, and we'll be looking to do some more deep dive webinars on the advanced manufacturing in the future, because I know that's a pretty requested feature. So we are working on that. So as these enhancements have now been rolled out and the module itself has become more finalized, we can then go ahead and plan it. Production reporting. So we've had some new reports put out for product production specific reports. So some of these things include actual versus planned cycle times. So you can use this report to identify whether production time is overrunning and by how much. Finished product wastage rates. This report compares expected production quantities with actual production quantities. Products used in production BOM. So this report shows you a list of all the products within the production BOM. Use this report to see products BOM components and resources and view quantities required for production for each BOM version. So that's a pretty good report to get a quick detailed view of all the BOMs and all the requirements. Production cost breakdowns. So this report shows detailed production cost breakdowns. You also have production shortage. So this report shows the quantity of components required for release and in progress production orders. So you can look at any kind of shortages you might be facing from that perspective. You can also track costs during downtimes. So an enhancement has been a production downtime report measures the duration and the cost of a downtime. So if a particular resource is out and you cannot manufacture, this will take into consideration the operation and the work center. Production modules also added to lot recall reports. So meaning if you guys are familiar with the lot recall report, this shows you how much of a particular product you manufactured, if you still have any on hand, if it was sold to any customer, you can trace it back all the way to the batch numbers, to the components, and to the original purchase order that you brought those components in. So let's move on with this to our MES app. So this is an app that can be downloaded on any Android device. It's a manufacturing execution system. So it's an application that's designed to work with the advanced manufacturing module. And we have some aspects on this. So I'll just quickly talk about it here, and hopefully we can go ahead and track some of these things. So the MES app is simply downloaded onto a mobile phone. The user with a warehouse manufacturing staff can then log in, view their tasks for their actual tasks they need to complete for the day. They can kind of start their production run. It will calculate actual time, actual components that are used for these manufacturing runs. They can finish. This will specify the output per location. This also takes into specific batch numbers they use and expiry dates. We'll look at actual quantities and look at actual consumed components. They can view notes and attachments as well through this app. They can view put away products. So when they finish a particular process or a particular component or a particular finished good, then they can do put aways as well for this manufacturing acquisition app, and obviously takes into actual time they've used it. So when they start the production run till they finish it, it will actually calculate the actual time. So that app is also available on the Android thing. So the next one is a few major ones that we've kind of been holding back on, and we've recently released a few really exciting enhancements, especially around Amazon Zero side of it and some of the more native integration. So I will speak more about that. The first one off the list is Amazon Settlement Review in Dia. So now you can actually get Amazon settlements and be able to pull that into Dia, whether manual or automatically. You can configure that. You can pull that into Dia and view your settlements, Amazon settlement statements within Dia. So this is a fantastic new feature which will allow you to view these settlement files. Then they can be processed for your accounting records and updated within your relevant transactions. So you can either trigger this manually or have it automatically pulled in from Dia, so that can be done. And obviously you can open up the pop-up window to review the settlement statement in detail of each transaction, settlement file, as well as your cost of goods information, accounts, tax, and all that relevant transactions. So this really helps to reconcile your Amazon account. And obviously each Amazon account can have its own settlement that can be pulled in. We understand that Amazon sends settlements every 2 weeks, so we try to correspond that as best as we can. So this is an exciting feature for those Amazon sellers that will really add a lot of value on that perspective. And then we can also do a consolidated export to Zero via Amazon statements. So once these settlements statements are pulled into Dia, we can actually consolidate that and push it to Zero as a consolidated statement. So meaning that a lot of the reconciliation work is already done. So you don't have to worry about reconciling Dia transactions to the Amazon settlement. That's all going to be taken care of for you. So this is an exciting new feature that will really enhance the experience of an Amazon seller with reconciling their figures into their accounting application. So these features now released So we have more technical documentation about it, and obviously that's going to be available in our solution documents, or you can reach out to our support if you have any questions around that. We also have enhanced our zero in consolidation. So you can consolidate obviously invoices before sending it into Xero. So with this release, new settings have been added to the Xero to give the user more control over the consolidation option. So sales can be consolidated daily, monthly, while payments, journals, and money tasks can be consolidated daily, monthly, or not at all. So this consolidation actually really helps to improve consolidation. So for anyone out there that's a bit nerdy on the accounting side, or the bookkeepers, please advise your accountants and bookkeepers who are taking care of this, that has been an enhancement done to the Xero consolidation from DIA to Xero. So that's going to really improve their ability to reconcile those accounts a lot easier, or choose specific information to be sent over, or to be able to review the Xero consolidated invoices in detail. So this has been enhanced off the back of a lot of feedback. So we work closely with a lot of our partners and customers to be able to bring out this Xero consolidation improvements to really help increase that. We've also gone ahead and built a native integration into Fair. So Fair is an e-commerce platform that's US based. So these guys have over now, I think, more than 40,000 local retailers in the United States, and a number of this growing rapidly. So they're increasing their presence in the United States. I think at the moment, Fair has added more than 400 international artisans and vendors from 39 countries to its wholesale offerings. So the idea is to bring smaller retailers and mom and pop stores a lot more options of products to sell, and a lot more detailed and cost-effective products. So that native integration with Fair is now live with DIA. So it's been some time in coming. So we've go ahead and release that, and that's a native integration. So that's going to be super awesome. I recommend anyone that's looking to enter the US market, or in the US market, to really look at that native integration. We've also built a native integration with Authorize.net, a payment platform focused in North America. So this Authorize.net payment gateway is a service provider for processing payments, allowing merchants to accept credit cards, electronic check payments through their website over the internet protocol connection. DNS supports payments via Authorize.net, and also via our B2B portal, and we were paying links inserted into invoices. So Authorize.net now can be used within our B2B portal, can be put onto an invoice as a payment link, or people can just log in and pay their invoices. So this integration is going to really drive and reduce the friction between you and the customer and collecting the payment, especially for our US customers. So this also brings me to my next point, which is that we are also going to be changing some of our pricing for the production module. So our production module is going to be, as you know, it's been enhanced and has matured and has moved out of the beta program. So this is just a bit of a heads up that the production module will become a subscription module. So there will be an additional fee for the production module. We are still working on the actual amounts and rollout and timeframes for that, but we're just giving everybody a notice before, so that the production module will be a paid module soon. And obviously you'll all get plenty of notice and plenty of notification on how that's going to be and when it will be. So we still don't know the exact figures yet at the moment. So once we know, we'll probably do another webinar and send out obviously a lot of collateral and email notifications around it, and also probably notifications within the app as well. So keep your eyes open for that. Thank you for bearing with me. I know it was a bit of a very heavy type of a webinar to go through all the enhancements. So what I'll do now is I'll try to go through the chat box and go through some of the questions that's been put forward.
Hey, Andrew. So we have some questions that were pre-submitted. If we want to start with those.
Sure.
One is question about zero consolidation improvements in the release note on the 8th of August that I had been expecting, but it hasn't launched yet. An update on that?
Yeah, so that's been launched yesterday. So so it's very new for us as well. So if you pre-submitted that question, historically, I know there was a lot of questions that's come up about that zero consolidation, but now it has been released. You can find details about it on our release notes. So I'm more than happy to send out a link to our release notes that has a zero consolidation, but you can find that on our website, dsystems.com. Scroll down to release notes. And also if you go into your zero integration, so if you go into your accounts, click on integrations, click on zero, you will see that zero consolidation improved, and you can actually turn it on. So there's been a fair bit of there. So that's all been released just yesterday. So it's very new. So that's hot off the press.
Awesome. Another question, are there any plans to enable the ability to fulfill from multiple locations for online orders?
That's also been rolled out. So you have the ability now for online orders to be fulfilled through multiple locations. So whether it's an e-commerce order, an order put in within the system, or an order that you're going to fulfill at WMS, you can actually pick from different bin locations, or if you want to fulfill from different locations completely, we have advanced fulfillment options available to allow you to be able to have multiple fulfillment processes against the one sales order as well.
Great. We have a general question that you might have covered during this, but an attendee asked, what are Deere's top priorities in the next coming months?
Sure. Our top priorities are to finish off some of our bigger modules and features. So that would include advanced manufacturing, some of the accounting and zero and consolidated settlements for Shopify, and obviously Amazon we just rolled out, and Shopify is going to come in soon. And just general polishing off some of our MRP, RMA, advanced production module. Once all of these are done, we'll focus on integration and kind of making Deere smarter and smoother. So we'll review all our retail integrations, we'll read all our retail features or our wholesale features, including B2B, and seeing where we can do enhancements. So any kind of requests for features around whether it's wholesale features, retail features, e-commerce features, if you can put those requests in, we will take into consideration for the future. So once we've finished off enhancing the current bigger modules, some of the big rocks, we'll continue to focus back on some of our wholesale features, retail features, and e-commerce features, and go ahead and start making them a little bit more automated, streamlined, and have things running a bit more smoother.
Great. There are some questions that we do have in the Q&A. I don't know, Andrew, if you want to go through a couple of them yourself.
Sure, yeah, I'll definitely try to answer some as best as I can. One off the bat that's come through is, it's actually in a chat box. It's about the B2B portal and having HTML embedded code to track the website better. We do have Google Analytics, and I know that that's not, doesn't cut it for everyone, and some people want HubSpot particular forms in there, or they want other particular, this is a request that's come up a few times, and it's been sitting with our developers. So it is on the board to be reviewed and considered. At the moment, we don't have any abilities to add any more additional HTML embedded code into our B2B portal. With that being said, I'm not saying that that's not possible. It just hasn't been one of our kind of big rocks at the moment to move. As you saw, we had a lot of other things for our development to finish off. So going forward, we'll definitely be taking that consideration. So in terms of having HTML embedded code in our B2B portal, this has come up a few times. And our development team is aware of it and will be considering it in future developments. But I don't have any type of ETAs or when they should be expected to go live for that. Just hold on a little bit tight for us with that one, and we'll work on it, as it has been noted previously. Also, we've had there's someone that wanted a little bit of a clarification on being able to fulfill orders from multiple locations. So with this one, with Shopify, obviously we map to the various different Shopify locations. We can map multiple Shopify locations to Dia locations. But once an order is in Dia and it's coming to Dia, you can then, if it's coming as not picked, packed, and shipped, so those are set to manual, the fulfillment process, each Shopify order then can be converted into an advanced order to either have multiple fulfillments and also to be able to pick from multiple locations. So you'll need to go in and pick that order up and turn it into an advanced order, and then go ahead and apply, pretty much have multiple fulfillment scenarios. Another question has come up around 2D and 3D barcodes, so QR codes. This is something that's come up a few times, and I know our team has looked at it, but at the moment, there's nothing in the works right now in terms of on the actual roadmap for 2D and 3D barcodes at the moment, or QR codes. So it will be something that has come up, and it's on the board, but just not a big rock at the moment. So hopefully maybe sometimes end of the year or early next year, our team can pick up that and review it and see if there's something we can do for that. And also with that, that would also include things like, any kind of POS enhancements for barcode reading and having QR there. So if we do end up enhancing the barcoding functionality, that would apply across the board for the entire system. We have there's a lot more other questions on there. We will be, so there's a few questions here that probably need a bit more elaboration that I can't really answer off the bat here. Especially there's been some questions around Dia POS. So I will have to put together a response for those and email it out.
Yeah, we can we're going to send a post-webinar email with the recording. So we can send that out to everyone and also have some notes from the questions.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So there's been, so the zero consolidation improvements have been released. So we will definitely, I'll send out a few documents around that with the Amazon settlements as well that was released. So for those who have not been able to yet get that feature, we'll go ahead and send it out. And awesome. So and I see that the HubSpot embedded code question has come up a few times. So what I'll do, I'll personally check in with one of our BAs about that and see if there's anything we can do to move that forward. I understand this is probably a pretty big requirement. Yeah. So once everything is released, I will go ahead and send an email out, and so we can all be on the same page. So thank you everyone for attending the webinar. I will go ahead and put together a release email after it and email everybody out. And if anyone ever has any questions, please don't hesitate to email us support@diasystems.com. You can mention the webinar, and your question will be escalated to one of our technical support team or to myself.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great night and morning.
Thanks, everyone. Bye for now.